Everybody good, or do we need another minute? All good. Okay. I think we're good on this end. Thanks, everyone. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I'm pleased to welcome Premier Tim Houston, and we're going to start with questions in the room.
Premier, when you promised to take away fees at healthcare settings, you estimated it to be $8 million, and now the cost is $19 million. What's the reason for the difference?
Not sure. I have to speak to the health authority on that. We obviously costed with the number we got from them, but maybe when they did a bit more research.
Costs, is that including the compensating of hospital foundations?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, anything that it would have, lost revenue or money that would have been spent out.
There are signs up at the IWK that say the staff can't park in the parkade at peak hours, and they already can't park at the QE2. Can you clarify exactly what staff access will be to free parking at healthcare facilities?
My understanding is there's no change. Whatever the policies were for staff, that's the policy. But look, this is a good thing. This is a really good thing. So I think it's something we campaigned on. We told Nova Scotians we'd do it. Took a little longer than I wanted, but it's here now and it's here to stay. And people that are going to visit loved ones or struggling with a diagnosis or interaction with healthcare, with the healthcare system, healthcare professionals, just won't have to worry about paying for parking. So this is a good thing, and if it costs a little more, it'll cost a little more, but it doesn't matter. It's gone.
Do you have any concerns about staff having access to parking?
Well, listen, we are healthcare professionals, work hard for sure. Whatever the situation is today, it'll be the same tomorrow and has been that way for a while. So we'll continue to look for ways to support staff, but we respect the work they do, and we try to make sure they have a good working environment. I think we've made incredible progress in the healthcare system. I hope that they see that their day-to-day work is improving, and there's hope on the horizon. But this is about people that are going to health appointments. This is about people that are visiting somebody who's interacting with the healthcare system, and their parking is free. It's a good thing. It's a good day.
What you make of the federal election results and what it means for Nova Scotia?
I'm looking forward to working with Prime Minister Carney and his team. I'm excited about some of the initiatives that they've talked about. Certainly the National Energy Corridor and making Canada an energy superpower. Those are things that are really exciting and really exciting for Nova Scotia, with the potential that we have here in so many different energy sources, from geothermal to hydro to wind to onshore and offshore to gas, onshore and offshore. We have incredible potential in energy, so I'm really excited about that, and I'm just looking forward to working with the Prime Minister and his team.
What do you make of the results for the Conservatives in Nova Scotia, especially they only picked up one seat?
Yeah, obviously, I know a lot of the candidates personally. I know campaigns are hard. You put a lot into them. There's lots of highs and lows. So I certainly I feel for them, the ones that were unsuccessful. I don't read too much into it. I didn't really get that involved in the federal election, but I think what we've learned. There's always lessons to be learned, and I think there'll be some lessons learned from this campaign. I think the Conservative Party of Canada was very good at pushing people away, not so good at pulling people in, and I think that they probably saw that in some of the results they had across the country.
John Tremont said yesterday that the federal Conservatives in Nova Scotia could have used your help in this election, and that generally Nova Scotia PCs and federal Conservatives should work more closely together. What do you make of those comments?
I'm a collaborative person. I work with people that I can work with all the time. I don't differentiate between political parties. I work with Nova Scotians every single day. The federal election, I stayed clear of. I wrote to both the letters to both the leaders on issues that matter to Nova Scotians. But I think just on the Conservative movement in general, I think the Conservative Party of Canada, I hope they do some soul searching on what they believe it means to be a Conservative. There are many shades of blue, and I think that people will see that the way I govern, and they'll see that in our caucus and our party members, that we work with Nova Scotians. We'll work with anyone.
They might be better served by doing that by electing a new leader, do you think? Now that
that'll be for them to decide. That'll be the Conservative Party of Canada. Their membership will decide that. Their caucus will. That's for them to decide. I'm just excited to work with the new government and anyone who wants to help advance the interests of Nova Scotia.
Have you spoken to Prime Minister Carney since the result?
I've reached out to him personally.
Neither he nor Mr. Polyev that we heard responded to your 6 priorities. Are you disappointed by them?
I definitely had a discussion with Prime Minister Carney on the contents of the letter during the campaign. But look, the idea was just to remind people what's important to Nova Scotians, and that now we have elections behind us, and we'll move forward. And I'm looking forward to working with the new government on advancing the interests of Nova Scotians and Canadians.
Did the Prime Minister commit to any of that?
He didn't commit to all of it, for sure. It was a discussion about. I think it was a discussion about what's important and why. But for me, as I said, like, you know, a number of the things that they've indicated that as a new government they'll focus on is right exactly in our wheelhouse too. So
Did you commit to any of it?
Campaign, Premier, during your campaign, you were talking about taking on the Trudeau government. There was a bit of a, Nova Scotia wasn't getting a fair shake. Now that Trudeau is out of the picture, can you work with Carney?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm optimistic about what's possible because of the things that they're talking about. As I mentioned, the energy corridor is really important. Focusing on energy generation, the potential for the country. Nova Scotia is in that mix, so I'm really excited about that. I think we can get a lot done.
I'm sure you saw that Doug Ford suggested a few days ago that you were interested in the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada.
I don't think he suggested that.
How would you interpret what he said?
What are you referring to when you talked about the video?
About your video. He was asked about your video, and he said, "I think he's
or something." Did he or something?
Yeah, something like that. And he said, "I think he has leadership aspirations." You saw that. I'm sure you've seen the.
No, I didn't see him say it that way. I mean, people may interpret certain things, but I think he said. Didn't he say he was razzing me or something, or was giving him the gears or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just.
Yeah, I think it's just the video is incredible. Over 2 million views right now, and it has evoked a lot of emotions in Nova Scotians, and certainly people that have a connection to Nova Scotia in some way, shape, or form. Came to school here, have relatives here. Like it's had a really positive impact, and and that's what was the intent. So this is a great province.
So are you interested in the federal leadership?
No, I'm focused on I'm focused on Nova Scotia, moving forward this province. There's a lot we can do in this province. That's my focus.
You said no in front of that. You mean no? No means no?
To what?
The federal leadership.
To the federal leadership.
Oh, I'm focused on Nova Scotians, you guys. That's pretty clear.
So can you clarify then what your intent was in releasing that video?
To promote Nova Scotia, to evoke the emotions in Nova Scotians, the pride in Nova Scotia, the pride in country. This is a time for all of us to be proud of where we come from. And we have a lot to be proud of in Nova Scotia. People sometimes forget your day-to-day life, lots of stresses and things. And I think it was just a moment for people who could sit back and for 2.5 minutes just say, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Part of what people were reading into your release of that video was that it came out when Pierre Poilievre was visiting Nova Scotia for his one campaign stop here. Should anything be made of the timing of your release?
I think it was just a pure coincidence.
Are you learning French?
Between you and Poilievre, were you unable to work with him in a certain capacity?
I don't think Riff would be I didn't have a relationship with him. I don't have a relationship with him. Obviously, during our campaign, there was a situation. I think the Globe story was pretty accurate. Is something that happened there that kind of probably had ramifications on both sides. But look, I think I've always been clear. Like I got the best job in the world. There's a great province, tons of potential. I love it.
On the flip side, then, can you work with Carney? What are some characteristics or things you like about him as a leader?
Yeah, I can work with him for sure. Because I'm committed to free trade in Canada, committed to getting rid of the interprovincial trade barriers. So is the Prime Minister. So, committed to developing our natural resources and, producing energy here and changing our economy for the better. And I believe the Prime Minister is committed to that as well. He uses the term nation-building projects, and we have those too.
Have you taken any French lessons? You'd be surprised how many people have brought that up with me. And I'm just wondering if we could go back to the comments you made about the Conservative Party of Canada and soul searching. You've always branded yourself as more of a red Tory. Is that what you would like to see them, the direction you'd like to see them move into?
Look, I think there are many shades of blue, and it can be a big tent, and it can be an effective big tent. And I think that after 4 consecutive losses to the Liberal Party, I think it's time for them to do some soul searching, and I hope they do.
Do you think there are lessons they could have taken from your election win in the fall, maybe that they didn't take?
I think our election campaign was pretty successful. I do think Doug Ford's re-election campaign was pretty successful too. So, for me personally, I always say for issues we face as a province or whatever the case may be, we don't have to create the wheel. We can learn from others. We can work with others. I think there was opportunities for them to reach out and learn and work with others. They decided not to. That's their choice.
Premier, I want to ask you about offshore wind in light of the fact that U.S. President Donald Trump has slowed things down on the U.S. seaboard again and even canceled one project that was already underway. Are you worried about the implications for Nova Scotia businesses that have been getting involved in staging parts that have been going to the U.S. for offshore wind?
I think what's happening in the United States is an incredible opportunity for Nova Scotia. It's a good thing. Because we have a remarkable wind resource here in offshore Nova Scotia. We'll prepare bids for about 5 gigawatts through the wind resource areas that are being discussed. The potential could be as high as 60 gigawatts. 60 gigawatts of offshore wind could power 40%, could meet 40% of Canada's needs. This is a very, very significant resource. So I think with what's happening in the United States, developing a resource on the eastern seaboard in Nova Scotia, continuing to develop and reignite the supply chain, it's all good for what would potentially happen down there behind us.
Further along in the U.S. than we are here. I mean, it's still years out before you'd actually be putting turbines in Nova Scotia waters. So what could be done in the meantime for companies that have been tapping into the supply chain for this more advanced industry in the U.S.?
Yeah, so these are all discussions. Once we, this is it's kind of the story of Nova Scotia. We have natural resources that we've looked away from, we've ignored. You could say that across critical minerals, you could say that across gas, you could say that in a number of aspects, and wind is the same. But now is the time to get moving. They're not overnight projects. They will take time, but they're never going to get done if you don't start, and we're starting.
We do have some reporters on Zoom, so I want to start with Lindsay Jones from the Globe and Mail. Lindsay, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me, Premier?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lindsay.
Okay, thank you for taking my questions. I don't think this is too repetitive, but my question is, why didn't you come out and support Pierre Poilievre when he was here in Nova Scotia?
I stayed out of the federal election. I did vote for my local candidate Bryson, but I stayed out of the campaigning aspect of it.
And Lindsay, do you have a follow-up question?
Yes. How can the federal party, the federal Conservative Party, begin to build bridges with you and the progressive Conservative movement in Nova Scotia?
Just reach out.
Okay. Thanks, Lindsay. We also have Frank Campbell on the line. Frank, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Frank.
Hello. Back to wind. I have a question about why did the government deem it necessary to set a province-wide setback for industrial wind turbines from residences that is far less than some existing municipal regulations?
Yeah, I think it's just looking at the science, looking at what's necessary, what's possible. There's the kind of a variety across the province, so we just wanted to bring some standard to it. And again, I would just say that this actually it speaks to the whole discussion about natural resource development in this province. We have incredible natural resource potential, and there's science out there, there's knowledge out there where the province can help with that or use that. They should do that. We should be having discussions about what is possible and how we grow the industry and how we grow our economy in a safe and sustainable way, and that discussion is way past what a setback should be.
Frank, did you have a follow-up question?
I do, yeah. So what does that setback regulation say to municipalities, particularly Colchester County, that spent considerable time and energy to develop a specific setback bylaw, and then to have, and to the residents who provided input in that in the creation of that bylaw, that it can be overridden by the province? What is that?
No, I think the message is we're here to help. We use the information that we have to help you with some of the decisions that need to be made.
Thanks, Frank. And finally, Bill Martin is on Zoom as well. Bill, can you hear us?
I can indeed. Thank you very much. Appreciate the free parking at the hospitals. It's something that's been a bugaboo of mine for a long, long time, but never dreamed it would actually come to fruition. So a quick thank you on that. And then another thank you at the announcement made this morning by Minister Comer with the youth-specific facility opening in Amherst, the first of 8 apparently to come across the province, specifically bringing together social services and mental health services exclusively for youth. Is this part of a bigger picture?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Bill, and on the free parking as well. And I will say, there's not much of a discussion about the tolls on the bridges these days. But there's not a day that goes by that a couple people don't message me or reach out and thank me for taking the tolls off. So I'm glad we took the tolls off there. I'm glad we were able to deliver on the free parking. These are all things that just in a world where it's tough, it's expensive. These are just one more thing. When you take one more thing away, you can take one more thing away. So we're happy to have delivered that. It was a fantastic announcement that Minister Comer made this morning. I think. The message is that we're focused on making sure that there is access to care available to people when they need it, and that we can work together across government departments to put the Nova Scotian who needs the services first. So we're focused on supporting Nova Scotians in their healthcare needs, and we'll continue to do that.
And Bill, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes, thank you. Having said that, of course, we live in a society today where people are under such pressure that, it is impacting on health, generally speaking. And you recently opened up the possibility of people getting some help in terms of paying for mental health services. And now this announcement specifically for youth. Is this recognition that we live in a time that's just beating us down?
Well, I think there's no question that the pressures on people have changed and evolved and are significant through social media and other aspects of a person's life right now. There's just no question. The tariffs are a significant concern to people. It causes stress on families. There's a lot to worry about. So as a government, we do what we can to support people and make sure that we open up channels for them to reach out, and we'll continue to do that. There's work to be done, but I think with Minister Comer's announcement today and some of the other initiatives, we're starting to make some progress.
Thanks very much, Bill.
Are you interested in giving any money to Northern Pulp for building a new mill on the South Shore?
So the process is continuing through the courts. I think the company has determined that there is a viable business case there, and they're trying to finance what that might look like, and they're working on that. The existence of a mill is important to the forestry industry. Our forestry industry, our traditional industries are incredibly important to our economy. So our forestry sector is important as well. There's a number of projects that are in the works, being discussed at different stages. But I am hopeful that there'll be a pulp mill in Nova Scotia, and we'll see what takes place over the next little bit.
Contribute to one.
It's not something I've been asked to do. If I'm asked to do, I'll assess it.
Is it only, the new report hasn't been posted yet, but I'm sure you're aware of the details. Is the mill only viable, is this business case only viable with government assistance?
I don't think that's the case. They have to find, it would be a new modern mill. So it would be an expensive undertaking, and I understand that they're looking at how that can be financed with private money through traditional lending. But obviously the province economic development initiatives that are there would be open to them as well. You know, tax credits and those types of things are available to them. But the financing is something they're working at. If they come to the province with an ask, we'll assess it with an open mind. I don't think I'm not aware of that happening, though.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Premier.
Thanks, everyone.